All right, so before we get into the conversation, here's some quick 5 things you need to know about trading in government securities. That's the collective name for it. So what are they? Well, they are considered risk-free investments, and it's basically loaning money to the government for its projects, and the government in return promises to pay you that money back at a specific period of time and at an interest. Now, you can trade in government securities either directly or through the central bank. And remember, it is all as a result of the Treasury that, at the end or start of every financial year, talks about how much they need to borrow domestically. And then they pass this on once they have made that decision in that budget proposal that is presented in Parliament. And then it is the Central Bank of Kenya that will then carry out the trading of government securities. And like we've said, unlike having the big players, individual investors can also participate in trading in government securities. Now, there are two main types of government securities. The first one is Treasury Bills. Now, all of these sound like big words, but listen, what this is, a T-bill, it's a short-term investment, all right? And it is usually floated, or you'll hear words like auctioned, weekly. And it has different maturity dates, 91 days, 182 days, or 364 days. So therefore, that means you would be able to get your returns in 3 months, 6 months, or in 12 months. What you need here is a minimum of 100,000 shillings, and you can top that up in multiples of 50,000 shillings. Now, how this works is that, like we said, they're auctioned. That means they're sold at a discount rate. And I'll be showing you what that means in just a moment. And then you get your money back at the maturity, which is 3, 6, and 12. So this is really short-term investment. Now, the other type of the government security is a Treasury bond or T-bonds. Now, these ones are medium to long-term. Maturity is anywhere from 1 to 30 years. Now, I know you're thinking 30 years is a long time, but the difference between this and the T-bills is one. You need a minimum of 50,000 shillings, and also what happens is you get your interest paid in intervals of 6 months up until maturity of the T-bond, at which point you get the total amount of money that you invested in to begin with. These ones are floated monthly. So this can actually provide you with a regular form of income every 6 months up until the point that this happens. Also, a point to note about Treasury bonds is that the interest rate is determined at the time of purchase or at the moment of auction, and it remains fixed and locked throughout the life of the bond. That means you have a predictable form of income at a 6-month interval for the period of the Treasury bond. So if it is 2 years, you would be receiving payments of the interest every 6 months until the 2 years is done, at which point you'll get the entire amount of money that you invested in. There are various types of T-bonds, such as infrastructure bonds, which the government would be looking to get that money for very specific infrastructure projects. There have also been some other government bonds that we have seen that you can actually now trade on your phone, like Emma Kiba, and we'll be telling you a little bit more about those. Now, to just explain to you a little bit, in a rather simple way, what we mean by how much you'll be able to make from something like T-bonds. And before we get there, these are some of the things that you need to be able to start trading. 1, of course, you need a bank account, and 2, you need a CDS, a Central Depository System account. That's the same account you would need if you were buying stocks at the NSE. Now, finally, the 5th thing I want you to know is how this would work. So let's assume you're buying one Treasury bill worth 100,000 shillings. Like we say, you're buying it at a discount. So the CBK would tell you it is, for instance, 7%. So you would then buy it at that discount of 7%. You would buy it at 93,000 shillings. When you get the money back at a 3 months interval, 6 months, or 12 months, you would get back your 100,000. So that means you've made 7,000. Now, this is a very simple illustration because there's taxes involved that you must pay. But this is basically how it works. That's the 5 you need to know about trading in government securities. More with my guests in just a moment. That's the 5.